Hey everybody, Jep here, and I've been thinking lately that there's one trailer in Valorant that deserves so much more recognition for how truly amazing that it is. That trailer is Fade's reveal trailer. I recently rewatched it again, and I don't know, I felt like such a strong sense of enjoyment while watching it for really the first time since the trailer released. It's just a fantastic combination of so many things that I love about Valorant. The story being told with the fears of all the agents that went to go apprehend Fade. The visuals are amazing. The soundtrack is out of this world. I could just listen to it like on repeat, honestly. So today I'm going to share with you all why I love this trailer so much and hopefully bring a spotlight back on it again so you can all appreciate it more too.
Cypher to all stations. I have a signal.
So the trailer immediately starts off with an aerial view of Istanbul just as the sun is starting to set. The soundtrack kicks off with a beautiful voice singing in what I'm assuming is Portuguese. Then the vulture that KO was flying races past us and gets closer to the city. That's when Cypher cons that he got a signal inside the warehouse where Fade has been staying at. It's awesome how the trailer we're seeing here is in line with the audio files of the strike team apprehending Fade we heard a while back now in Cypher's office.
I have a signal. Our blackmailer is headed east.
Leon, this is Sova.
Now, as I'm watching this again, I just now realized that Fade was standing here the whole time. Well, I'm assuming that's Fade. So menacing and honestly pretty scary. Again, the soundtrack is just God tier.
Leon, this is Sova. Confirm you have target visual. Ground team, collapse and converge on sector 4.
It's actually insane how powerful Fade is. The second Neon steps inside of the warehouse, her consciousness is transported to somewhere else. Now, I'm not so sure where this is, if I'm being honest. I can make a decent guess that it's the city of Manila in the Philippines where Neon is from. We know this based on a voice line said by Chamber when talking to Viper.
Viper, your suit is a little stifling, no? When you go meet the new agent, maybe pack something light. Manila is quite warm this time of year.
I believe the voice line has been removed since Neon joined, but yeah, I'm guessing that's where Fade transferred Neon's mind to, her hometown. Okay, so I think it's pretty obvious to me that Neon's greatest fear is that she won't be able to run and maneuver as fast as she can right now. Running seems like a huge passion of Neon's. Clearly, we can see that in the gameplay, but if Neon were to lose the ability to just simply run, I think she would be miserable. Okay, so how cool is this shot? This could for real be like a wallpaper. So as we're starting to learn that Cypher's biggest fear is the public knowing his identity. We know Cypher owns safe houses, and once he feels like his cover may be blown sometime soon, he abandons that safe house and moves on to the next one. His secrecy of his identity is a must for him. So clearly, once he steps foot into the warehouse Fade is in, she recognizes that in a second and feeds into his darkest fears. We do know what Cypher's name is, Amir, but we have no idea what he looks like, and neither does anyone on the Valorant protocol. So if Fade were to remove his mask, well, that would just be a tragedy for Cypher. Next, we move on to this awesome shot of the shattered mirror of Chamber and his Omega double. Now, when I first watched this trailer, when I initially reacted to it, I thought all the eyes and faces that were watching him were other agents on the Valorant protocol. But when watching it again, I saw that no, that's not true. These are all different images of Fade. So my initial assumption of Chamber's darkest fears of his new comrade's VP, finding out he works with his Omega double and judging him for it is actually way off. So since I now know that it isn't the rest of the Valorant protocol watching him, well, what does this mean? Well, let's play it back and see if we can find anything. Man, this is tough. Oof. The only thing I can really make of this is that Chamber is worried that his Omega double is going to betray him and vice versa. We know they've worked together a few times already, saving Brimstone and Viper from well, whatever this place is. And then we know that they also work together, of course, to destroy the Large Hadron Collider on Fracture. We know they don't necessarily trust each other, like, very much at all. In the one trailer where they rescue Brim and Viper, the Omega Chamber, clearly with the Tour de Force, was aiming at Alpha Chamber before shooting the crystal, releasing Brim. Chamber also has a few voice lines when going up against his Omega double or when killing him that they never really even trust each other to begin with.
Oh, our deal? It's over. Sorry for the late notice. You knew not to trust me.
So circling back to the Fade trailer, that's like the only thing I can really think of as to why Fade showed Chamber this when he stepped into the warehouse. Do any of you guys have any other interpretations? Like, you can leave a comment down below or tag me in a post on Twitter, or better yet, you can hop into one of my live streams on Twitch and we can discuss it live back and forth if you have any ideas. All right, so everyone's favorite criminal is up next, Breach. Now, this one is pretty easy for me to understand. Breach's family, pretty much all of them, got arrested and sent to prison when Breach was pretty young. The judge that was sentencing Breach and his family spared Breach, though, because he was a congenital amputee and was born without any arm. The judge felt bad for him, so he only sentenced him for a very short time. So with Fade showing Breach being trapped in a jail cell, unable to get out, pretty much confirms that his biggest fear is being locked away. Maybe Breach deserved to be delivered a longer sentence by the judge so long ago and he knows it. Or what's more likely is that Breach never really answered for his awful crimes he committed. For years, Breach was a notorious criminal and got his record wiped when he joined the VP. Maybe justice will follow him someday. Oh man, dude, Chaos is just so sad. I feel like I don't really need to explain this one very much because I brought up the Radiant Wars so many times recently in my videos. We all know that Brimstone died in the Radiant War timeline. KO and that Brimstone were incredibly close, almost like brothers. KO genuinely cared for so much for his best friend, and when he finally died, likely from Empress Reina, he felt like he lost everything. With the newer voicemail of KO sent to Brim, we know that his memories never really fade. Anything he felt months or even years ago is still fresh in his mind as if it happened a few minutes ago. So losing his best friend and constantly reliving it appears to be KO's greatest fear, as what we just saw Fade showed him. Sova's is an interesting one if you ask me. We see he starts off with his bionic eye and then Fade removes it and his vision. Then a haunting, soulless black eye Sova is what remains and he appears to have lost all his vision. He misses Fade's apparition and the recon dart is what illuminates her in this dark hallway. So my interpretation is that Sova is terrified of not being able to see, not being able to take that shot to save people he cares about. The bionic eye really does help him with that, and according to Fade at least, if he loses his sight, that is the most fearful thing Sova has. This is one of the coolest parts of me coming up. I love Fade's voiceover as she withdraws Nightmare from everyone's minds. Just watch.
I've seen your darkest fears. Mine would eat them alive.
Damn, oh, that's so badass. Like, it just gives me chills watching it again. Call me a nerd, I really don't care, but I think that's so cool. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is, so what does Fade mean by that? I think there's one of two ways we can interpret what she says here. So either she saw all of the fears of everyone that came to apprehend her, and she felt that their fears were insignificant to the truly dark fears that Fade has herself. Maybe Fade feels that the fears of these people that tried to get her are nothing to what she fears herself. I'm not so sure about this one because I think fear is subjective, right? What someone might find not frightening at all could be deathly terrifying to another person, right? What I think is more likely is the powers that Fade is dealing with, Nightmare, infecting their minds and showing them the most horrific things that it can possibly conjure up will truly outweigh any of the natural fears that person has. To me, it's definitely symbolic that the second Fade says her fears would eat theirs alive, she uses Nightmare to manifest into a prowler, something with a very big and terrifying mouth that can, well, use to eat things, right?
Mine would eat them alive.
Chamber, it's on you!
Then the trailer ends with a red face being illuminated by the bright flashes of gunfire as Nightmare closes in on them. So cool. So I hope you all will definitely think about this trailer more when discussing some of the coolest things Valorant has ever put out. Again, the soundtrack with the vocals of that woman singing being played in the background adds so much to the already great visuals and the story being told. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, yippee out!